In this lesson, we will be creating a notan and exploring some art vocabulary, including organic shapes, geometric shapes, rotational symmetry, reflective symmetry, and asymmetry. So what is a notan exactly? Notan translates to an aesthetic principle, meaning light and dark, as you can see in this yin and yang. Notan is a Japanese design concept involving the play and placement of light and dark elements as they are placed next to the other in the composition of art and imagery. Black versus white creates the principle of art, contrast. Here is an example of a notan that you will be creating in this lesson. As you can see, there's many geometric and organic shapes. These shapes are flip-flopped to create this idea of reflective symmetry and balance. Let's start by talking about shape. These are examples of geometric shapes. Geometric shapes are shapes that can be defined, like circles, squares, rectangles, ovals, octagons, and hexagons. They are shapes that we've been learning since we were very young. Organic shapes, however, are free-formed and cannot be defined, like these interesting shapes that we can see here in this picture. Now that we discussed organic shapes versus geometric shapes, let's talk about symmetry. There are a few different types of symmetry we will learn about. Symmetry translates to appearing the same on both sides. This butterfly is an example of reflective symmetry. You can see the line of symmetry splits the butterfly into two same halves that mirror one another. Reflection makes me think of mirror. You get the same image on both sides. The next type of symmetry that we will discuss is rotational symmetry, also called radial symmetry. This is when a shape looks the same after some rotation or partial turn. An object's degree of rotational symmetry is the number of distinct orientations in which it looks the same after each rotation, meaning no matter what way you turn the object, it looks exactly the same. Perhaps the greatest examples of rotational or radial symmetry can be found in mandalas. Now, asymmetry, on the other hand, actually doesn't have symmetry at all. As you can see on this picture, the shape on the left has symmetry. You can see it looks the same on both sides when you look at that line of symmetry. Contrasting to this, the shape on the right, you can see that both sides of the line of symmetry are not the same. This is an example of a shape that has asymmetry. Now that we've learned about organic shapes versus geometric shapes, rotational symmetry, reflective symmetry, and asymmetry, let's get to our project.
Hello, my art friends. I hope we are doing fantastic today. We are starting a brand new project, and the name of this project is called Notan. In this project, you're going to need a square piece of paper. It can be any color you'd like. Mine is a 6x6 square. It must be a square. You're also going to need a larger piece of paper that is a square. This is about 12" to 13". Okay? So 12" by 12" or 13" by 13" is fine. You're also going to need a pair of scissors, a glue stick, and a pencil. These are all super important things that you will need. You will also need your glue mat because we're going to be gluing, okay? So for this lesson, we are going to be exploring organic and geometric shapes. As you know, geometric shapes are like squares, rectangles, circles, triangles, trapezoids, hearts, stars, all of those good things that we learned before. Organic shapes, however, cannot be defined. they're those wiggly kind of turny shapes like we saw in Matisse's work. So what we are going to be doing is cutting these interesting organic shapes to create our Notan, okay? So what you are going to do is you are going to cut on all 4 sides of your black square or whatever color your small square is. Here are 3 rules that you don't do during a Notan. You do not cut corners. So if you start here cutting, you're going to be cutting a corner off. So you never cut corners. 2, you're never going to cut a shape that you cut out. And 3, you're never going to cut in a space that's already been cut. I'm going to be going over all of those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here, okay? See how I'm not right on the corner? And I am going to turn my paper to cut out some interesting organic shapes, okay? Now, if I go all the way here, I'm going to cut a corner. I want to stop before I reach that end, okay? So I am going to wiggle my way over here, and boom, there is one piece, okay? So, step 1, we did not cut a corner. We are never going to cut these shapes in half, ever, ever, ever. So we're just gonna move this over here. We are also never gonna cut in a space that's already cut, okay? So now we're gonna move on to our next side. Now you could do 1 shape per side, you could do 2 shapes per side, but what I really want you to do is use up that space interestingly, okay? So we're exploring cutting organic shapes out of this, okay? This shape kind of looks similar to my first one. I'm gonna put it over there. Did I cut any corners yet? Nope. So now, I think I'm gonna do a shape that kind of curves in like that. Ooh, that's cool. And, ooh, it's almost like a heart. I can fit another shape in here. So I'm gonna do that. Okay, so here I go. I'm cutting. And I'm gonna stop before I get to this corner. Boom. And I have 1 side left. All of my corners are intact, okay? So, I am going to cut a skinny shape in here. And there we go. So I have all of my shapes, and I have my wonderful big shape. Now, the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna glue down this big shape. But first, think, do you want it to go just like this, kind of straight across, like a square? Do you want it to go like a diamond? Do you want it just like kind of a little bit off? The choice is yours. We are never ever going to be gluing it over here because we're going to have to make our shapes fit. So you always want to glue in the middle, okay? So I'm going to take this big shape. I'm going to put it on my art mat. Make sure you glue on your art mat. Do not glue directly on this white paper. And I'm going to make sure that I get glue all over my weird organic shape that once was a square. Okay? So I'm going to glue all over that. That looks good. Now I'm going to take it. I think I want to make it look like a diamond. So I'm going to put it down like that. And I'm gonna give it a little smooth out. You could even flip yours over and give it a rub like that. And now it's nice and flat, okay? So, we are gonna glue down that shape, okay? Now we're gonna cap our glue stick. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna piece these pieces back together like a puzzle, okay? So this piece fits in here. This piece fits in here. It's like I made my own puzzle, okay? And you might have to flip them around a couple times to figure out what way they fit, okay? So that one fits in there, and that one fits in there. Now, when these are like this, what I want you to do is take your pencil and you're gonna put an X on these pieces. Now, to make your Notan have symmetry, reflective symmetry, which means it looks the same on both sides, you're gonna take this piece and you're gonna flip it. Look at that. Now you have an organic shape that has reflective symmetry. So I'm just flipping just like that. I'm not flipping it over like this. See how that doesn't match up? You want to make sure that it goes the correct way, okay? So just like with this one, if you flipped it like that, that wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't have reflective symmetry. So you want to make sure all of them line up like this, okay? How cool is that? Now, I want you to now flip your pieces back in place. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, Miss Shaquila, why did you put a silver X in pencil on the back of your shapes? Well, the reason I did that is because I need to remember which side I need to glue, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I see my X here, and I know that when it's glued, it's gonna flip and have perfect reflective symmetry. So I'm gonna take this piece, put it on my glue mat, and I am going to add glue to it. And you want to line it up. Your piece should not be way out here. It should not be way in here. You want it to be on something called the line of symmetry, okay? There we go, there's my first one. Okay, now this next one, I see that it flips, it has reflective symmetry, it has the X on it. I'm going to put it over onto my glue mat and I'm going to get glue all over it. Now, you notice I am never gluing directly on my white paper, okay? All of your gluing should be done on your glue mat, okay? And I got a little bit of glue on my shape, but that's okay. I can wipe it off with my hand, okay? If you get glue spots, you can even kind of rub the glue off with your finger, and that works really, really well, okay? So, on we go. So now this one, flip it. I see that it has reflective symmetry. I have my X on the side. I'm going to put it on my glue mat and I am going to add my glue. Okay, so I'm now gonna move this over so we can see it. And I'm gonna line it up on the line of symmetry. And there we go. Ooh, I don't have that many shapes left to do. I have 2. So now, ooh, that is good symmetry, and I see my X, so I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna move it over and glue it just like this, okay? Right on the line of symmetry. I have 1 shape left. There's the X, I'm gonna check it, and I'm gonna put it on my glue mat, and I'm gonna add my glue. Going to glue it down right where it needs to be positioned on that line of symmetry. Give it a nice push. And look at that, my Notan is done. Now, what I want you to do is if you have any pieces sticking up, so I like to hold my piece sideways to see, if you have pieces sticking up, you're just gonna gently lift them up, add a little glue, and then give them a push. Okay, so I'm checking and making sure all of my work is stuck down really nicely and has good craftsmanship. This is our first example of a simple Notan. Stay tuned, I'm going to be posting another video with a bit more of a complex Notan strategy and technique. I am so excited to see what you come up with.